Oh, CYFE here, just like the knife. And are you tired of losing game after game, get your mental destroyed by how bad your teammates are, and for the life of you cannot escape these ranks? Well, forget all the sorry shit. I've got the all-in-one guide to actually help you rank up by focusing on what matters. Let's begin with the most important area, and that's finding the optimal sensitivity. Way too many players have exceptionally high sensitivities that boggles my mind, and I ask myself, how can one control it? But then I realize you can't really control it without being hindered. Don't be like SpongeBob, you can do it. The average EDPI amongst pros and high elo is 278, and you're out here on 700 plus. This isn't Fortnite, Overwatch or Apex where having a higher sensitivity is more beneficial. Valorant is a attack shooter where the time to kill is extremely short and most guns can one-shot you, so there's a huge emphasis on being efficient and landing that first shot quicker and more accurately. Thankfully, Aimlabs has implemented a sensitivity finder which I found to be very accurate by suggesting I use 4.95 with my current sense at 0.5. Simply just do the routine it provides with a healthy blend of tracking and flicking at different sensitivities, and it will slowly calibrate finding the optimal sense based on your accuracy and time to kill. Once you've found the ideal sensitivity, head to the range, spawning a singular bot by pressing F3 and selecting 50. And just track that bot without shooting, going side to side, and eventually toggle strafe by pressing F3 in this area and choosing strafe. Alternatively, you can watch my in-depth aim routine which uses the most common in-game aiming scenarios. Now that you found your sensitivity, let's work on that crosshair placement, which is the most important aspect that will make aiming so much easier. Crosshair placement is exactly what it says on the tin. It's placing your crosshair in a position whereby when an enemy peeks, they're in your crosshair and it's a simple shot. Notable players like Ye have an extremely high level understanding of crosshair placement. But why though? Why is he so good and the majority of us seem like we're sleeping? Well, he's always anticipating how the enemy will peek based on where he's at and setting his crosshair accordingly. For example, this is a common position where most players will peek from. But notice here, his crosshair isn't on the angle, but rather to the left. In fact, a few meters to the left. And that's because players peek exactly like this. So he's prepared his crosshair in a way where all he has to do is just shoot. And at the worst of times, a small micro correction. Think of it this way, you don't want to overcook or undercook your coffee and have it bitter or tasteless. You want it to be perfect. The same with crosshair placement. You don't want to be holding wide when the angle you're in is a common angle and overcook it. And the same thing with holding a tight angle when you're in an off angle. You may ask, but how does he do this on attack? Well, the same concept still applies, but this time you involve a movement and peeking into the mix. Whenever he's peeking an angle, he's envisioning that player is holding, so he won't be peeking like this with a W key, no. He'll approach the angle, adjust his crosshair, and simply strafe the correct distance to where his crosshair is perfectly on the angle. But CYFE, how can I practice my crosshair placement both on attack and defense? Guys, you asked. Across every map there are landmarks that indicate the perfect head height for your crosshair to be in. So go into a custom game and practice having that crosshair head height, adjusting it based on different elevations. To practice peeking common angles, you must understand how to peek, and it's as simple as letting go of the key. You don't need to do the whole counter strafing where you press the opposite key. So if I want to peek this angle on split, I'll simply position my crosshair by imagining the angle and pressing the A key, letting go, and with enough practice, you can consistently and accurately perform this type of peeking. Next common mistake is economy management. The amount of times I've been asked, shall I buy on the second round after I've won the pistol is countless. Every kill grants you 200 credits, with each round win netting you 3000 credits. For losing, you only gain 1900, however this stacks and increases with each consecutive loss, starting at 1900 for the first round loss, then 2400 and finally capping at 2900. You commonly hear buzzwords such as eco, buy round, bonus, light buy, etc. all referring to the state of your economy. For eco, you barely have much to purchase, so the team hard saves, ensuring they can fully buy the next round. A light buy is essentially an eco, but you get to spend a little bit extra in the form of sheriffs, marshals, stingers, etc. The goal still remains the same, and that's saving up so you can fully purchase the next round. Bonus is saving the weak guns you currently have, allowing you to fully purchase the next 1 to 2 rounds, typically done after winning the first 2 rounds of a half. And full buy is pretty much self-explanatory. A tip that doesn't get mentioned enough is don't spend every single credit in the bank. Leave some left so that if you do light buy, you can potentially get a sheriff plus armor or vandal no armor. Remember, every time you win the pistol round, buy up. Don't save for more than 1 round and stop force buying every single round. Manage that economy. Next is start adapting. Stop autopiloting every single game, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different change. That's the definition of insanity. Whether you're on defense or attack, you want to understand how the enemies are set up and what are their tendencies and habits. For instance, if it's ascendant as a killjoy, more than likely she'll be on B. So your thought process should be, let's try to exploit A. Or let's see how aggressive the enemies are fighting for mid control. If it helps and it's overwhelming, try to take notes during the buy phase on how the enemies are set up or how they're playing as attackers. It seems seems crazy, but you'll be surprised at how impactful it can be. Over time, you'll be able to quickly understand how the enemies are playing without the need of a notepad and develop plans to thwart them. Most commonly, if the defenders are playing too aggressive, don't fight fire with fire. Lure them into traps by being silent and patient. This point is arguably one of the most impactful, and that's analysing your games. And I'm aware not everyone has the luxury to record their games, but when the drive to get better is there, you'll find any means necessary. For example, stacking some books and using your phone to record one half or even a half of a half, and trust me, you'll see so many mistakes. If I'm able to see mistakes within my own games, I'm sure you'll be able to see within yours. To help you get started, ask yourself these simple questions. Why did I die there? Could I have played that better? Did my poor smoke timing cause my duelist to get operated? If so, work on that and pay attention to your minimap. And if you're struggling with looking at your minimap frequently, check out this video which says map every 3 seconds. Last but not least, I recommend you all to have a shift in your mentality, and that is playing to improve. Why? Because if you're playing to win, you stay within your comfort zone, which might be insta-crouching at all scenarios, being overly aggressive for no reason on defense. But if your goal is to improve, are you even losing? Sure, it might say defeat, but in that game you found out that you did X amount of mistakes, and guess what? You addressed them, and the following games those mistakes were either gone or heavily reduced. And over time, this form of improvement compounds to where you just get better and better. And it might mean it'll get worse before it starts to get better, but in the long run, you'll be much better off. Look at this graph. This is where you're at right now, and if you continue with what you're doing, you might slowly get better over months, but when you're actively addressing your problems with the mindset of playing to improve, this is how the graph will look more. I hope you all enjoyed. Check out my Twitter where I'll be more active and maybe doing giveaways. And as always, until next time.